Imagine sitting across from her in the dim glow of an evening, the table between you littered with the artifacts of routine, coffee cups, phones, unread texts. There's laughter, a flicker behind her eyes, a curve of lips that tells you there are worlds beneath her smile you'll never truly enter. You think you know her desires. You think marriage is the fortress where trust blooms, where understanding is automatic. You are wrong. Every gesture is a signal, every silence a code. Psychology isn't a textbook, it's the battlefield you enter every night, unwitting and unarmed. You want confidence in your relationship, certainty in her attraction, clarity in your communication. You want security, assurance she isn't cheating, even if only emotionally. But her smile hides more than you're prepared to face. She wants what you don't see, the invisible, the forbidden. Not just the touch, but the meaning behind it. You chase certainty, unsatisfied by surface answers. Why did she laugh at that man's joke differently? Why does she linger at the threshold when you're apart? Beneath every normal moment, marital habits are cracked by unspoken needs. This is not about adultery but about emotional cheating, longing, fantasy, the ache to be understood. You stare at her, hunting for clues. But the truths behind her smile are shadows you can't grasp. The tension between spouses isn't just about the fight last week or last year, it's the silent war of unmet desire. You want weapons. You need power. You deserve a map to her secret world. Tonight, we reveal 5 sexual secrets she hides from you. Tonight, you stop being blind. Tonight, you start to see, beyond the smile. You felt it, haven't you? That sudden chill when she turns away in your arms, the half moment when your touch becomes routine and her eyes fade into the dark. Confusion leaks into frustration. You ask questions, but your words spin in circles, falling flat against the walls you built together. Psychology tells you relationships should be honest, transparent. But honesty is often abrasion, not healing. Her habits shift. You notice. The phone turned down. The late-night shower. Maybe a glance toward a stranger, innocent, yet loaded with suggestion. Confidence begins to hemorrhage. You wonder, am I enough? The male ego, built on certainty, stumbles in the face of feminine mystery. Attraction isn't a straight line. It's a labyrinth encoded beneath expectation. You try everything. Gifts. Dinner. Better sex. More communication. But the more you try, the more the distance grows. Marriage is supposed to be the guarantee against rejection, the shield from uncertainty. Yet now, trust feels like a sad myth, and every doubt erodes the ground beneath your feet. Rejection isn't overt. It's subtler, more painful. Emotional cheating isn't just the physical act. It's the smirk she hides when texting, the secret she swallows on a Monday night. You search for solutions but find only mirrors reflecting the same rootless ache. Understanding becomes a desperate need, not a gentle luxury. Divorce looms, not as an event, but as a psychological movement, a slow erosion. You grip her hand, but her mind is already elsewhere. All because you missed what hides behind the smile. You've spent years believing that open communication and direct questions will unlock her inner world. But that's not how secrets move. Her first secret isn't in what she says, but what she never names. The unsaid. The forbidden thoughts. The desires she buries under habit and obligation. You want her to talk about her sexual cravings, her fantasies, her doubts about intimacy. But her silence is shrewd, a fortress more enduring than any marital vow. Psychology isn't just about exposure. It's about connection through the invisible currents. She wants you to feel her tension, to sense her longing without forcing confession. She wants you to read between her words, recognize the music behind her silence. You chase understanding, pushing for answers. She responds with distraction, humor, redirection. The truth is, she isn't always cheating or longing for adultery. Sometimes she's simply craving a break from routine, a mental escape, not a physical one. Sexual desire is not only what's done in bed, but what's dreamt on the way to sleep. Her first secret is the unspoken hunger, a subtle emotional gap that calls for recognition, your awareness of her inner death and rebirth. You must learn to listen beyond words. Sometimes, what she hides is exactly what she needs you to discover without asking. You think attraction is loyalty, that a spouse's desire should orbit only you. But attraction isn't confined to the borders of marriage. Her second secret, she is drawn, sometimes fiercely, sometimes gently, to things outside your reach. A stranger's gaze. A dangerous idea. The thrill of imagined cheating, never acted but burning hot inside. Not every fantasy is a betrayal. But every fantasy is a communique from the parts of her you forgot to seduce. You measure trust by fidelity, but her emotions don't play by your rules. The science is brutal, sexual desire is wild, not reasonable. Jung called it the shadow, the unlit, untamed edges of a woman's mind. It leaks into routine bedtime scripts, disrupts the habits of domestic love. You want control, but her confidence lies in freedom. She wants you to know she could be taken, not to threaten you, but to remind you she is alive. The pain isn't in attraction itself, but in your inability to see its power. You ask yourself if you're losing her. You mistake attraction for intent, confidence for disloyalty. Relationships are not cages. Communication is not containment. She is more than your spouse, she is a world expanding beyond your vision. Her second secret behind the smile, the power of her unclaimed attraction. If you fear it, you lose. If you recognize it, you level up in understanding. You believe trust is built by revealing everything. But trust is a game of risk, and vulnerability is the currency. Her third secret, she tests you relentlessly, small games, micro-rejections, sharp contrasts. A compliment offered, a confidence withheld. She wants to know if you'll flinch when tested, if you'll crumble when she withdraws love for a day. Psychology isn't just about sharing secrets, it's about surviving the test. Her smile can be both invitation and barricade. The pain of misunderstanding breaks you, yet it's the sharpening that builds your emotional muscle. She craves a partner who can survive her emotional cheating, her reality distortion field. Not because she wants to cheat, but because she needs proof of your strength. You mistake these trials for rejection, but they're signals, invitations into her world. With every test, trust is both built and broken, reforged in the furnace of shared tension. Habit tells you to run from pain, to chase certainty. But the relationship thrives on your ability to walk into fire, to meet her in those emotional traps. You become magnetic, not by being perfect, but by holding steady in the storm. Her third secret? She wants you to risk with her, to step into psychological darkness without retreat, to earn her vulnerability. Understanding isn't granted. It's won. You think adultery will announce itself with lipstick stains, suspicious absences, shattered trust. But real danger hides in softer places, quiet lunches, endless messages, the ache of a new confidant. Her fourth secret, emotional cheating outpaces physical infidelity. She forges invisible bonds, building a sanctuary in her mind where you can't follow. It's not about sex, it's about recognition, about someone seeing what you overlook. She hungers for more than flesh and routine. She wants emotional intimacy, psychological presence. Your marriage is a fortress, but the gate is rusted when true understanding fails. She finds someone, a friend, a coworker, a secret stranger, who listens. Who makes her feel attractive, understood, alive. It begins innocently. A joke, a shared secret. Your communication with her strains as new trust grows elsewhere. You sense it, but the proof is missed. You confuse comfort for connection. You think habit is safety. But when she can't express her sexual desire, her fears, her confidence to you, she creates a parallel world. There, her emotions run wild, her secrets flourish. Emotional cheating is the affair you never catch, the divorce that begins before the lawyer is called. By the time you realize, trust has evaporated. Your pain is real, but so is hers. The science is clear: women leave in the mind before they leave in the body. Desire is a rebellion. Not polite, not logical, not married to routine. Her fifth secret is the lust for chaos, the need to break rules, bend expectations, spark against the confines of predictable love. She wants moments that tear through habit, that test the limits of her marriage, your confidence, the patterns you cling to. You picture relationships as tranquil, as slow rivers. She craves waterfalls. You underestimate her capacity for fantasy, for transformation. Attraction blooms in sharp contrasts, the difference between what is said and unsaid, between the safety of your arms and the danger dwelling outside. Adultery flickers, not as threat but as possibility. She wants to taste risk, to feel desire's tremor, to remember herself before you. It's not about cheating, it's about surviving the dead air of routine. Her emotions are wires waiting for a current. Her psychology drives a silent revolution. She wants you to be more than a spouse, a partner, a provocateur, a risk worth taking. Communication is not just words but energy, a willingness to disrupt comfort for truth. Divorce happens in the soul first, with desire suffocating beneath unchanging habits. The deeper secret behind her smile: she wants you to join her rebellion, to become unpredictable, to provoke her desire, not just provide for it. You struggle with confusion, her words don't add up, her habits shift, her touch grows colder or suddenly too intent. The pain of misunderstanding burns. In your gut, suspicion breeds questions you're too afraid to ask. You demand clarity, you search for patterns, you interrogate the shadow. But real understanding isn't a reward, it's a journey through the maze. Every tried-and-true strategy turns stale, more communication breeds more confusion, gifts breed guilt. Psychology says the mind deals in perception, what we think we see versus what is truly there. In marriage, misunderstanding isn't contamination, it's the proof you're living with another universe. You want her to lay down every card, to make trust easy. But secrets thrive in complexity. Her smile means more than comfort, it's a defense, a challenge, an invitation into ambiguity. Attraction mutates, emotional cheating whispers in gaps of conversation. Divorce starts with the search for certainty and ends with surrender to the unknown. You feel rejected, unworthy, powerless. But you must learn, pain is the teacher, not the enemy. Understanding your spouse isn't about winning arguments but surviving emotional storms, becoming strong enough to carry not just your confusion but hers. Her smile dares you not to quit in the face of mystery. It dares you to enter. You reach the lowest point, the moment where confidence is gone, trust flickers, and marriage feels like a question mark. You sit alone, broken by habits, haunted by the idea of her emotional cheating, not with a body, but with a thought. You want to run, to abandon. But psychology offers you a different path: awareness. You stop interrogating. You start observing. You watch her habits without judgment, her emotions without defense. You realize marriage isn't a guarantee, relationships aren't fortresses, and attraction isn't possession, it's invitation. Communication is no longer a weapon but a bridge. You understand your spouse isn't avoiding you, she's inviting you into a deeper labyrinth, one where misogyny and insecurity don't survive. Your pain becomes your fuel. You wrestle with her smile, study the patterns, remember the science. You catch yourself, every thinking error, every knee-jerk reaction. You stop measuring desire by how often she laughs at your jokes and start recognizing emotional presence as the true measure of connection. You realize, sometimes, the secret behind her smile is a test, a call to new strength, new understanding. You begin to see what you were blind to. Now, you are ready for transformation. With awareness, you rise from the ruins of misunderstanding. Divorce no longer looms like a specter, it becomes an outcome you can shape, not by controlling her, but by transforming yourself. You stop fearing adultery, emotional cheating, rejection. You replace suspicion with curiosity, pain with strength. Psychology arms you not with answers but with courage to endure the unknown. You confront your habits, every gesture, every word, every failed attempt at closeness. You study attraction as a science, not as a prize. You use sharp comparisons and contrasts, not to fuel jealousy, but to ignite passion. Communication is minimalist, confident, laser-like. Trust is rebuilt on challenge, not comfort. You learn, relationships thrive on risk, not routine. Marriage is the playground for transformation, not just safety. You move beyond the thinking errors of certainty and into the art of seductive uncertainty. You trust her, not because she is predictable, but because you can survive unpredictability. Now, when you look into her smile, you don't just see secrets, you see possibility. Liberation begins. You realize she possesses emotional power you never fully mapped. It's not in her words, but in the cadence of her silences, the rhythm of her glance, the subtle shift of her energy when you enter the room. You feel your confidence tremble. She can raise you with a single look or break you with a pause. Behind every smile, every moment of attraction, is a coded message, an invitation or a warning. You begin to analyze, not accuse. You watch her habits like an investigator studying a crime in progress, but the evidence is psychological, not physical. You ask yourself why certain simple rituals, dinner, shared beds, morning coffee, now feel loaded with tension. Is it trust slipping away, or is it your own insecurity boiling over? You want to be the spouse with unshakable confidence, the partner impervious to emotional cheating, but the truth is no one is armored for that kind of intimacy. Take Jung's wisdom, the feminine mind loves mystery, thrives in paradox. Freud's lessons echo, every act camouflages desire, every smile conceals a need for power, dominance, or surrender. Your wife is not just your partner but a universe, swirling with storms you can't predict. Relationships are psychological chess, every check a chance to turn misunderstanding into understanding. You are no longer lost. You are reading her moves. You know emotional power isn't a threat, it's the axis of your connection. Now, when she tests the boundaries, you respond not with panic but with calm interrogation. You don't flinch, you engage. Now you understand, attraction is psychological currency, traded, spent, invested. Your marriage is a living market. Attraction fuels trust, communication, and self-esteem, but is also the source of fear, jealousy, and doubt. She moves through the world attracting and being attracted, it's energy, not a crime. The pain comes when you forget this, when you try to lock it down, when you mistake security for control. Her smile is transactional. It can give you energy or bankrupt you, depending on whether you grasp its meaning. Are you giving her reasons to invest, adoration, respect, curiosity, or just routine attention? Relationships thrive on novelty, not just routine. Freud knew the mind is addicted to stimulation, to sharp contrasts between desire and comfort. You start creating sharpness, challenging her, asking real questions, refusing to be invisible. You don't beg for affection. You demand emotional presence. Your spouse responds not to need, but to power. This is where confidence is rebuilt. Cheating, sexual or emotional, is not just betrayal but a break in the value exchange. You keep your value high by being unpredictable, by provoking new attraction. The habits you build are now intentional, loaded with meaning. You walk into every moment aware, her smile is negotiation. You must always be in the game. You always believed communication was about honesty, about explaining feelings and sorting through misunderstandings. But now you see, communication is seduction. The barest words are never honest, the real truth is always beneath, wrapped in tension, desire, hesitation. You learn to speak less, to use short sentences that cut. You let silence do the work. She feels the change. Your spouse isn't looking for a confession. She wants electricity. She wants your words to charge the room, to make her want to lean in instead of recoil. Psychology points to the habit: people listen for tone, not content, for confidence, not apology. Your voice becomes a weapon. You stop explaining trust, you demonstrate it. You stop justifying desire, you provoke it. You sense the impact: her body leans closer, her eyes glitter with new challenge. Marriage renews itself not in monologues but in puzzles and clever games. Understanding your spouse becomes an art form, a science of minimalism. Every sentence you utter is loaded with erotic weight, emotional intelligence, psychological edge. Her attraction flares not when you say everything, but when you say nothing and let her fill in the blanks. You don't apologize for being bold, you don't explain your confidence. You become a mirror, reflecting her desire, amplifying her secrets, strengthening your connection with every word left unsaid. You finally see how vulnerability, not bravado, is the true source of magnetic power. You show your pain, quietly, without self-pity. You admit to misunderstanding, to insecurity, to fear of rejection. But you do it with poise, not need. She witnesses your weakness but also sees the confidence it takes to reveal it. Your communication stops being defensive. You lean in when she steps away. You turn thinking errors into moments of connection. Instead of accusing her of emotional cheating, you ask what draws her elsewhere. You don't beg for clarity, you demand the truth with calm. Trust rebuilds itself. You stop treating marriage as a prison, relationships as routines. You invite discomfort, risk, change, and in the process, become more attractive than ever. Jung says every marriage is a transformation, a death and rebirth of selves. Who you were at the beginning is nothing compared to what you can be now. Your spouse meets you in this new place. She is open because you are unafraid of the unknown. The habits of secrecy die in the face of honest vulnerability. Your confidence is not armor, it's a beacon. With every moment of pain shared, you let her know, I'm here. I'm not leaving. I'm ready to see what you hide behind that smile. Freedom is the edge where relationships survive or collapse. You no longer suffocate in routine, you crave the uncertain thrill of her mysteries. Marriage becomes a dance, not a contract. Attraction is the tension you cultivate, not just the comfort you provide. Cheating, emotional or sexual, is no longer an existential threat but an invitation to grow, to challenge, to conquer the space between you. Science tells you this is rare, most couples dissolve in fear. But you are not most couples. You thrive on the discovery that your spouse is both lover and stranger, that her habits are treasures, not traps. Trust is no longer fragile, it's forged in the fires of shared risk. You respect her freedom. You give her space to dream, to flirt with danger, to reveal new layers of sexuality and desire. You expect her to demand the same. Communication sharpens, you text less, talk more, make every moment count. Confidence is currency, trust is investment. Every day, you ask yourself, what don't I see behind her smile today? What can her secrets teach me? The answers keep you alive. You never settle. You never stagnate. Your marriage is always on the edge, where liberation begins, and true connection thrives. You don't repress your wants anymore. You speak in whispers, then in declarative bursts. You admit you find her mysterious, even intimidating, her sexuality a force that can break you or rebuild you. No more pretending her smile means simple happiness. You accept her complexity, her forbidden cravings, her shadow thoughts. Your own desire grows because you trust her to hold it, you invite her to challenge it. Habits shift. You introduce risk. Marriage means sleeping next to someone who can wreck your world and still choose you every morning. You reject the myth that relationships thrive on certainty, instead, you embrace the thrill of conscious uncertainty. Your confidence surges not in her guarantees, but in her willingness to confront her own thinking errors, in her drive to name her secrets, or at least let you see them. You study the science, dopamine, oxytocin, the neurochemistry of attraction. You read Jung at midnight. Every line reminds you, she is not only your spouse, but your adversary, your teacher, your mirror. Psychology tells you liberation lies in honest desire, not in silence. Her smile is no longer a puzzle to solve, it's a challenge, a weapon, an invitation to meet her at her edge. Now you master the dance, sometimes leading, sometimes following, always moving. You don't fear rejection, you don't run from emotional cheating, you don't try to erase the possibility of adultery by policing her freedom. You realize trust is not a leash but a ladder. Every rung is a new risk, a new opportunity for genuine connection. You ask better questions. Instead of, "Why did you say that?" you ask, "What does your silence mean tonight?" Instead of, "Who are you texting?" you ask, "What haven't you told me?" The habits of small-minded control dissolve. You are not only confident, you are brave. You carry your pain with dignity, and she sees it. The marriage deepens. She brings her own secrets forward, one scar at a time. Communication moves past surface chatter. Attraction pulses in the undercurrent, her confidence unmatched, your strength undeniable. You meet her in the dark, you hold her in the light. The uncertainty you feared becomes the fuel that keeps intimacy hot, the energy that keeps divorce at bay. You learn to watch. Not with paranoia, but with purpose. Every smile, every gesture, every choice she makes becomes a clue, a thread you untangle slowly, respectfully. You don't need all the answers. You need the courage to keep searching. The habits you build are small, you let her speak first, you don't rush her, you don't interrogate but you don't ignore. You let curiosity shape your connection. She wants to be seen, not solved. Her secrets may never be named, but your willingness to look, to care, to meet her on the jagged edge of desire is what keeps attraction alive. Jung said understanding must include the mysterious, Freud insisted that repression breeds destruction. You stand between these truths, watchful, alive, alert. Trust, real trust, means never closing your eyes. The marriage survives on your refusal to become complacent. Cheating could happen, emotional cheating may have already occurred. You accept the risk, because you know this is where true confidence lives. When she knows you're watching, she becomes braver, her smiles sharpen, her secrets deepen, her love intensifies. Every failure, every argument, every moment of doubt has become the raw material for transformation. You have learned not to flee the unknown, but to build your confidence in its presence. You move through the world as a partner, not a guard, as an equal, not a jailer. Relationships mature when both spouses stop seeking guarantees and start loving at the edge of doubt. Your marriage grows because you've stopped chasing safety. Attraction grows because you don't demand disclosure, you earn revelation. Adultery and emotional cheating lose their power because you refuse to let fear write your story. Habits change, you touch her, not to own her, but to remind both of you that intimacy is a daily choice, not a permanent achievement. You step into every conversation with intent, with minimalism, with psychological mastery. Trust is the foundation, but curiosity is the architecture. You no longer fight for certainty, you live for deeper understanding. At the core, behind every smile, is an invitation to choose the marriage again, to face the shadows together, to survive and thrive in the gap between knowing and not knowing. Now you understand everything begins and ends behind her smile. It's the door, the lock, the secret passage. You have seen the pain, misunderstanding, emotional cheating, the silent breakdown of trust, near divorce when certainty was your only friend. But now, you understand liberation, the confidence to face her secrets, the courage to see what others fear. Tonight, don't settle for blindness. Don't hide in routine. Don't beg for clarity, and don't fear betrayal. Stand in the mystery, become the partner who looks beyond. Your marriage, your relationship, your understanding of female sexuality, intimacy, and trust, they all sharpen when you embrace what she wants you to see. Look behind her smile. Meet her at the edge. Invite transformation. Her secret is your challenge. Your challenge is your rebirth.